Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy podcast. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a newer, stronger foundation essential in creating your meaningful legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. As much as you like this podcast, I'm certain that you're going to love the book that I just released on Amazon, Fuel Your Legacy, The 9 Pillars to Build a Meaningful Legacy. I wrote this to share with you the experiences that I had while I was identifying my identity, how I began to create my meaningful legacy, and how you can create yours. You're going to find this book on Kindle, Amazon, and our website, samknickerbocker.com. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy, and as always, we're bringing on the top entrepreneurs that I know to kind of help you understand the process of building a legacy, helping other people buy into your legacy, what it takes, and where your potential could go. And so today we have on the guest Sidney Clevinger, and one of the cool things about him is he's a serial marketing coach and tech entrepreneur. He just loves doing multiple things. He's busy and stays busy, both him and his significant other, which we may have on here shortly as well. So I'll leave that surprise for later. But he's a co-founder of Better Leads Box, co-founder of Holistic Freedom CBD, which is a huge industry blowing up. I honestly think CBD will be close to kind of the next McDonald's. It has potential. I mean, it's an untapped industry that the more legalization, we're going to have something big on our hands. And then he's a chief marketing officer for emails and surveys. So he just keeps his fingers in lots of pots. My mom always told me that you ask the busy person if you want something to actually get done. You don't ask somebody who's got lots of time, because they obviously keep their time very open by not doing anything. So that's why he's on here, because he knows how to be productive, focused, and build a legacy of things that are meaningful to him. So go ahead, Sidney, let us know a little bit about where you came from, maybe childhood, how you grew up, and how you made that transition to where you are now and where you're headed.
Well, thanks, man. You make me sound so, this, and, to be honest with you, I just wake up and go to work. But, I grew up in small town America, man. I grew up in eastern Kentucky in a little town called Mount Sterling, about 45 minutes east of Lexington, Kentucky, which, if you don't know where that is, it's about an hour and a half southeast of Cincinnati is where I grew up. And it was about one of those 5 light towns, and most of my friends, man, from back there still live in Mount Sterling, going to live there their entire life, and do whatever they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just wasn't the journey, that I grew up. And I knew at a very young age, I played sports at a very young age, and I was very, very competitive. Like, I hated to lose at anything. I hated to lose at an argument. I always had to get my last word in. That was just part of my personality. And, and from a young age, I just knew I was different. Like, for whatever reason, I thought differently. I didn't do the things that a lot of my friends did. And that was, like, I guess the biggest thing growing up that I recognized about myself, that I was different. I didn't like doing the same old things. I didn't like, I like to be rebellious. I didn't like to follow the rules, and do everything like cookie cutter. I hated that. To this day, I hate that. And that was really growing up. I knew that was something, but I didn't really know what it was. At age 12, we moved out of the small town. My dad got, another job, and we ended up moving to a suburb of Louisville, Kentucky, which at the time was like my New York, right? I mean, that was like the biggest thing I'd ever seen, which is hilarious because I live in Dallas now, like in downtown Dallas. And, Fort Worth is like 3 times the size of Louisville. And it's like the baby of like Dallas, right? So it's kind of funny. And then, I lived there until I went to University of Louisville. And, a big reason, I got into tech was, I always enjoyed it. Like, I always enjoyed technology and reading about it and stuff like that. And even in college, but I wanted to be an athletic director. And when you get into that whole, sports administration, sports marketing type deal, it's a very competitive industry. And, at the time, not so much anymore, but at the time, the University of Louisville had a very great just athletics program, athletics administration. They had a athletic director named Tom Jurich that was said to be the best athletic director in the United States at the time. Since he's made some mistakes and is no longer there, but I wanted to be just like him. He took University of Louisville from Conference USA all the way to the Big East, which was one of the biggest conferences, in the nation at the time. Within just a matter of like 5 years, and that was unheard of. And I wanted to be just like him. So on my senior year, when I got bachelor's degree in sports administration, we had to do a 6-month internship. So I ended up going to the D2 school in Louisville, which is called Bellarmine University, and I just didn't know what I was going to be getting into. And I walked in to do an internship, and I was sitting in the office of the athletic director, and his assistant just got me up and walked me to the sports information office and said, "Here, they need help. Just do whatever they need." And ironically, sports information is athletic communications, so that's basically websites and anything digital, right? So websites, radio show, all that fun stuff. So and just out of coincidence, they were in the process of building a new website for the athletics department. So I was tasked mainly throughout the year to not only help build, but also maintain the website, which was a WordPress site. And I just fell in love with everything about it. And that was kind of how I got started. And then I, got a graduate assistantship down in Miami, Florida, went down there and got my master's. And then realized very early on that I was going to make a lot more money working for myself because of how much money I was seeing that was coming into businesses in the ad agency that I was working for than I ever would in the athletic world or working for someone else. And kind of just started building at the time WordPress sites for like 10 grand for people down in Miami before Weebly and Wix was a thing. And that was kind of just how I got started working for myself. In my first year, I made like 130, 140 grand. I never kind of looked back, and, I've been in digital ever since. And, I got into the lead generation stuff about 4 or 5 years ago and kind of just really catapulted me into what's going on today. So
that's awesome. I'm curious, at what point do you feel like, and I don't know, maybe it was always this, but sounds like the beginning of your passion kind of started like you wanted to be in sports because you wanted to be in sports, but at some point it shifted from sports to, and this is not a negative thing, so don't think I'm accusing you of anything, but shifted from sports to money, or at least that you could get more money somewhere else. What about getting more money became more attractive to you?
So I didn't grow up with a lot, not that we were poor, but, we were definitely, or even really blue collar, but we were just, we were, I guess, middle class, very middle class, and, so I didn't grow up with like lavishly or anything like that. But like one thing I do like remember is that like, I always remembered like, especially with the good people, like I remember like people that would have money, I guess I was surrounded by it. And, I started watching Shark Tank very early on. I was one of those that started watching Shark Tank in season 1, which was back in like 05 or something like, 07, I think, or 08. And I just remember like I read a lot as a child. That was something my mom made me do. And I just remember it was never like, look at money as like this great thing. I was taught that money was nothing more than something of leverage and something of a resource to get something or to gain something greater, to gain something that you want. And there's a lot of resources, right? So like, it was never really like, hey, money's the only thing I'm after. It was, hey, I can use money to help more people as a resource, or I can leverage money to get more things to help more people. Like that's, as an entrepreneur, like, there's this whole thing about this American dream, but what's this American dream, right? As an entrepreneur, I'm leveraging 90% always of what I get to try to gain a bigger something for my cause. So like my highest intention is always what I'm after. The businesses that I'm a part of is just my tools to achieve that higher intention. My higher intention is to help 1,000 people with guns in their hand, choose life and become successful so they can impact other people. Tiffany's is to, empower 1 million women. Whatever we do, business or in life, has to fit with that highest intention. If it does not, we don't do it, and that's just kind of how we live.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's what I thought. I didn't have this conversation with him previously, but that's what I thought. And that's why I asked the question the way I did, because I know that money's not the end goal. And I think that sometimes people, they get stuck in what they think is the way to achieve their objective, right? Your highest intention, help people, right? But that could be helping somebody as a Walmart greeter, right? Mm-hmm. Guiding people where to find their food. It could be as a somebody working in the sports industry. It could be
smiling to someone on the street.
Right. It doesn't matter how that goal, that highest intention comes to pass. What matters is that it comes to pass. And so being willing to shift or alter your method or your tool, your current tool of use to achieve that, people need to start looking at what they're doing and how they're providing value in life
Mm-hmm.
as a current tool or part of a tool shed to achieve their highest intention. I think that highest intention, for me at least, and the purpose of this podcast is to help people identify, okay, how do they identify their identity? How did you identify your highest intention, Sidney?
Well, man, I had a gun in my hand. I mean, like for me, back in 2016, I owned another company that was a software company. I'm a software developer, like kind of by trade. That's kind of what, if you really want to classify anything
Sure.
I do, it's kind of, I guess, the most that I do. I just enjoy software and technology. I had white labeled a software, or I'd helped develop and not help develop, but I'd helped to white label a software for a private label online ordering for restaurants. So in Louisville, I was like, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. This was one of those low ticket, high volume type deals, right? So very much like credit card processing, or it was a subscription model, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I might get paid $50 or $60 from a restaurant a month, but it's a monthly subscription model, right? And I'm playing the long game on building a business. Anyway, we had done that, and I had gotten it up to where I'd built it pretty big. I'd gotten a lot of restaurants under my belt. We were making a few $1,000s a month in residual income. Things were great. I could sit on what I had, and it was awesome, but I wanted more. And because like in Louisville at the time, Grubhub and Uber Eats and all that wasn't there yet. So I had a really, really ripe market. So I had a credit card processor approach me that was an ISO, and he owned his own, ISO office, and partnered up with me. He was like, hey man, we'll do this. We'll do 50-50. So I was just ignorant, and I wanted to grow, and I was willing to, at the time, I didn't realize, to sell my soul to grow. So he promised me all this stuff. He was going to just give me his book of business. He was going to finance me so we could grow and all this stuff. We ended up partnering up. He ended up getting me 2 people that ended up being some of the worst clients I ever had. And he actually was like freaking pulling teeth to get money out of the guy, even to pay me money, my own money from the company. And it just ended up being a horrible experience. But then about a year later, I'm trying to figure out how to get out this deal. I freaking can't stand it, but I'm locked into this deal. And, and I'm just like not the type that's going to I don't screw people over. It's like the honest people don't ever think that they're going to get screwed, right? It's the people that aren't honest that, always are thinking that they're going to get screwed because they think of what they might do, right? So like, I don't even know what to do. I'm going to lawyers and talking to them. Come to find out, my ex-wife, or my wife at the time, had been traveling to Boston because she said she was training to get a promotion at her job. Well, she had met a guy up there. I didn't know about it. And the Saturday, so I get home, and the Saturday that I get home from work, and I never get, I get a call from Saturday. I don't even remember the guy's name. I just remember like him saying, hey, I didn't know she was married. Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know she was married. And, that's all I remember. And, I don't know how much it meant. They're married now and have a kid, but, that happened, and I freaked out, and I'm like freaking out because I just lost my wife, and I confronted her, and she denies it, and she's making all these threats, and I'm just like, I'm done. Now I'm going through this divorce. Come to find out, the next day, I get a call from one of my first customers who's been with me for like since my first couple of weeks of doing the business. And he's like, hey man, like not a big deal. I know it's probably just a mistake, but I noticed that you billed me like a few times last month. And I know it's probably just an error, a glitch or something. Not a big deal, man. Can you just take a look and then can you get me my money back? And I didn't know. I thought maybe it was just a glitch in the payment processing or something. Come to find out, my ex-partner had been billing people multiple times and then embezzling money into his own accounts. And when I followed the money, he was billing the people one time, putting it into our account, but then billing them 2 to 3 times and then just funneling that money into his account. And not telling anybody about it, which is, embezzlement. That's fraud, Once I found out, now I'm stuck. I'm 50-50 with this guy, and I'm in the lawyers. How in the world can I get my name off of this? And there was nothing I can do. I ended up having to surrender and lost the company. So now I've lost my wife, my house, my car, my company. I'm living at home with my parents with about $330, which I lost in about a week and a half on weed and liquor. And, now I'm legitimately broke. My parents are paying for every meal of mine. I'm 29 years old, living at home with my parents in 2016. And man, that's rock bottom. And Christmas Eve of 2016, I got a gun and put it in my mouth, and something I tell people is I'll never forget what gunpowder smelled like, man, ever. And, I got it. It was crazy. I got an email, one of those autoresponder emails. I'll never forget it. And, I was so high and drunk. I don't even remember feeling anything. And I just remember I got an email and it said, don't give up yet. 2017 is going to be your best year yet. And for whatever reason, something triggered emotionally in my body. I threw the gun up against the wall and I made a decision that night. And ever since that, I made that decision, I've just been on this journey of like just 100%. How many people can I help? And ever since then, I've been able to help 538 people. So, that's kind of how I look at it.
I love that. See, those are the type of stories that really, really are going to have the highest impact, taking somebody through an experience. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine dealing with that.
A lot of people talk about rock bottom, but I mean, like, it's marketing talk, right? I mean, they stretch things. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody does it, and I'm not saying this or that one, but I lived that, I came to Dallas because Dallas was the place to be, and I wanted to basically restart life. I sold everything I owned and moved here with like $3,300 to my name and figured it out. And I think a lot more people, when they get put in those situations, sometimes they just need to literally like put themselves into almost a state of shock, because I figured out who I was in 6 months. And I think it's like what Tony Robbins says in one of his videos. You got to know how to burn your boats. Because when people are put in the position of either going to die or succeed, they tend to succeed. So sometimes you just got to burn your boats and put yourself in that position, literally.
Yeah, and not to go as deep, like go to the suicide option, right? But the reality is, we need to have something that kind of shocks us to really identify what that legacy is. Because once we find our highest intention, then there's really nothing that's going to stop us on that pursuit. And I'll share with you mine. As far as my highest intention, really, I've probably 3 of them. But first and foremost, it's to save marriages from domestic violence, divorce, suicide, anxiety, depression, malnutrition. That's like the number one goal of mine, and everything that I do, that's my focus. And then secondary to that is to coach and lift up the homeless. I've met too many people who, just like yourself, went from a thriving business to broke, jacked up on drugs and alcohol, because they just can't fathom the change in what just happened in such a short period of time. And some people get out of it like you, but there's a lot of people who still are on the streets who have already accomplished incredible, magnificent things in their life. And with a little bit of belief and a little bit of resource, they could go on to create even more incredible things. A little
bit of hope. I mean, I think a big thing, man, just having someone believe in them. A mentor of mine, that I work with, once told me that, obviously you are your environment, right? So like, if you're around people in your environment that don't believe in you, what are you doing? You have to be, I know this is beating on a dead horse, right? I mean, everybody talks about this, but I mean, you really have to take a step back and evaluate who's in your environment. And it's not just having people in your environment that validate you. It's having people in your environment that, hold you accountable and that scare the crap out of you when you're talking to them or you're with them, because that they're looking at you, and that they're, seeing what you're doing and seeing the decisions that you're making and seeing if you are getting up and doing the work, and like, those are the people that, I got a couple of people like that in my life. They scare the living crap out of me, because I know if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, they're going to call me out on it. Mm-hmm. And, like that, you need a couple of those people in your life too. You have to. You have to. The famous Ty Lopez, stuff. I know a lot of people make fun of him, but he's actually an extremely smart guy. He always would talk about in his content about how you have to have 33% of the people that you're mentoring, 33% of the people on your same level that you're masterminding with, and then 33% of the people that you're being mentored from. And there's a lot of merit behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that in my life, that's pretty much where it is. I've introduced myself and got to the point where I'm leading a decent amount of people. I'm masterminding with people, and then just out of, I will say, dumb luck. I don't think it's really dumb luck. I think it's intentionally putting myself in situations that scare me. But I've been able to meet people who are on the edge of billionaires, or if not billionaires, right? And sometimes when you're hanging around people too much that you're mentoring, then you think you've got to figure it out. You think that you're going somewhere, and then you go just have a conversation with some of these people. It's interesting. I find it interesting Because a lot of these people that I've met with who are on that level, that's just like, even when they're so completely messed up drunk, like just out of their face drunk.
Yeah.
Even at that level, when they've basically taken down all of their inhibition, all of their drive for, like, they've just got plastered. Even at that stage, because of how intentional of human beings they are and the muscles that they've trained just to react, just like out of subconsciousness, they just act the way they're supposed to. You start having a business conversation with them, you start talking about goals or whatever, they are on point. You might have to remind them occasionally where we're at in the conversation, but they could deliver a speech or an oratory or something like just amazing with on point, pure gold information. Mm-hmm. Even though they're so like stumbling around drunk, they know. I mean, it's reflexive memory.
What that's called?
Say again.
You know what that's called?
Go for
science behind that. It's called an anchor. So like you have something in your mental or in your brain, right, subconsciously, that anchors at things, and then you also have triggers, right? So what I look, and Tiffany, she'll freaking like go into the whole nerdy science
NLP side of it.
But you have anchors in your brain, right? So an anchor. So like if you wanted to talk to me about like marketing, right, organic online marketing, that's an anchor. Like that's anchored in my brain. So I have a trigger that you're going to ask a question, and then I have an anchor in that response to that question. So like, there's a lot of like understanding, like, simple NLP language is feel, felt, found. If you've ever heard of that in the sales world, that's simple NLP language. So like understand how you feel. So sympathy, that's emotional sympathy. You understand how you feel. And then you have other people that have felt the same way, whether it's you or other customers. So that means that's not an us versus them mentality. It's saying it's okay. Other people are with you and they felt the same way, which then when you go into found, it's like these people found that way. You can connect and find that way too. So it's helping the brain make the connection of this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And it's helping knock down those objections in their brain and just they can actually see the story in their head of them owning a business, or of them, scaling their business, or of them running ads on Facebook and Instagram and getting leads, whatever it is, it's literally just, they're at where they are right now. Your core messaging and whatever you're doing in life is, when you're persuading anybody, is they're at a place they want to get to place B. How do they get to place B, and how do you help them see them getting to place B through whatever it is that you sell, or whatever stuff you have, or whatever content you give. That's all it is. I mean, you're not really trying to ever sell anybody. You're trying to get someone to get to a buying decision and get them to make a decision on you.
Yep. Yes or no. It doesn't matter what the decision is. You just need a decision. Actually, I would say that's the difference in my opinion, because people accuse me of being a salesman. I'm like, oh man, at times in my life I've been a salesman, but I consider a salesman, not that the end goal is really different, but the motivation, right? So I would consider somebody who's selling or a salesman as somebody who's going through the process with the intention or with the expectation or thought of what's in it for me. And a closer doesn't care what's in it for them. The closer is saying, okay, it's my job, it's my duty to help you come to a decision and to be able to close out this conversation so you don't have to think or worry about it anymore. And the closer is able to maintain the mindset and the emotion and the orientation of what is best for this person sitting in front of me and how can I best serve them. Sometimes that means I'm the right fit. Sometimes it means it's not. But it's my duty to make sure that they know by the end of this conversation whether I am or not.
Absolutely. And knowing, and being, understanding language and understanding language patterns and how the brain works, right? So like the brain works in a buying decision. It first makes its decision by emotion, and then it backs it up by logic. So like every buying decision that's made is first made by impulse. So, if you understand how that works, you understand that game. See, everything in our life is a game. If you look at everything in our life as a game, and you're in sales, or you've been in sales, or, I don't consider it sales, but, you're in the
helping people,
the professional friendship, world.
Yep.
But no, you know what I mean? Like, if you just get them to a point of like, listen, I'm, helping you get to where you want to go, and you're playing the game, and you're just executing what you got to execute, you just got to look at whatever it is. Take a real big step back, look at the 40,000 foot view, look at what you got to do, and don't just react. Build a plan and then execute. And once you execute on that plan, okay, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Stop, optimize, and then expand. So like, don't get so caught up on like, oh my gosh, if I go out there and fail, I fail. Guess what? You're going to fail, and you're going to fail again, and you're going to fail again, and you're going to fail again, and you're going to fail every day. I fail every day at something. I mess up something every day.
Hopefully, right?
but if I don't rehearse, then I can't if I don't rehearse, then I can't review. And if I can't review, then I can't revise and get better. So like, everything that I do, every call, every podcast episode I'm on, whatever, it's always a rehearsal to be revised, to be reviewed and gotten better at later. So like, that's how I look at everything. And like, if you look at life that way, then you're just going to do nothing but then just get 1% better every day. And if you get 1% better every day, my golly, you're 3.5 times better at the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And that's big time.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love it. So because often when we go through these major transitions or transformations in our life, there's other people who are viewing that transformation, not quite understanding it, and out of their love and concern for us is the way I believe it. They will choose to try and dissuade us from our goal or pull us away and say, "Oh, you don't want to do that. Go get a real job or go do something that's different. Be safe," right? How did you tell us a story of your biggest naysayer in life and how you were able to silence them?
Oh man. Well, biggest naysayer, man, I got a lot of people even to this day, in my family that, whisper, I go to family functions and they still to this day whisper, they won't talk to me about it because they know that like, I don't, I don't deal with drama. I do my best not to deal with drama now. And as well as just, I don't have time for it. I just don't have time for it. And I'm a straight shooter. Like, I'm not going to like sit here and, beat around the bush. I don't do that much stuff anymore. Like, look, this is what I got. Is it something you want to help with or not, man? Like, that's as simple as I am. Like, we don't reach out to anybody that doesn't raise their hand at us first. I mean, we're just straight up with that. Like, if you're interested in what we got, cool. If you're not, like, good luck. It's really that simple. And, I think that regardless of that, you get haters, you're always going to get haters in life. And God, me and Tiffany just being me and Tiffany, because Tiffany's, doing so well with what she's doing, and she's influenced and doing a lot of people with what she's doing, and, with me. And so we got some great things going on right now with the CBD and, and with the new software. It's just, a lot of great things and a lot of blissful things happening in our lives. And, people just because they see that are going to hate, and they hate because, it's me and Tiffany. Me and Tiffany are able to leverage certain things online to help kind of boomerang and get more reach or whatever it might be. There's ways that we can do that. And people just don't like it, right? I mean, people are just like, well, they're doing something wrong or they're cheating or they're doing something, right? It's always about them. And, we get that all the time, man. But I'll never forget a quote. I guess, let me tell you, my biggest naysayer, you guys are I hope he doesn't listen to this. My biggest naysayer, man, like, to be honest with you, has always kind of been like my dad. Not in a bad way. It's just like my dad, my mom and my dad, like, I love them. I love them to death. And they love the fact that I dream. And to this day, though, it's like me and Tiffany, like this CBD, it was just a thought, right? We come up with this idea and, we start telling them about this idea. Now, this is what's funny. I'll make it full circle when I'm done. We start telling them about this idea. And they're like, well, CBD, isn't that illegal? Like, cannabis, isn't that illegal? They don't really know. They live in the Bible Belt. They hear cannabis, they freak out. Bring back the 60s, and all that. And
no dancing.
Yeah, right. Like, this whole thing. Yeah. And my dad, though, he loves doing the twist. To this day, man, you put on the twist and he's all about it. Every wedding and it happens. But anyway, we were talking to him, and we're like, they're just so classic in saying this. And your parents might have said this, or people that were naysayers in your life. It's okay to dream, but let's just make sure we be realistic. So I don't want to, get our hopes up, and then get hurt. And, God, like, even saying it now, like, just makes me freaking cringe because, like, the whole idea behind participation trophies makes me want to scream. And, like, I hear that and I hear nothing more than participation. Like, go out there and try. If it doesn't work, and like, that's just not okay. Like, that's bad language. That's bad culture. That's bad teaching. Like I want my children, when we have children, I want my children to be taught that by giving service and by helping other people, you gain something. It's not always money, but you gain something. And like, I want that to be taught, because I mean, let's be real, public, school systems right now, public, private, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I mean, like, it's dangerous. School system right now just doesn't work. And I'm sorry if people don't agree with me. Both my sisters are teachers, and God bless them, because, that's one of the toughest jobs in the world. But, just the modern teaching doesn't work anymore. I mean, people don't understand how money works when they get out of school. Like, they just don't have a basic understanding of how money works. The whole culture is, hey, go work for someone, make a salary, work for someone your entire life, help make them money and be done with it. Like, entrepreneurship has to be chosen in college. It has to be chosen. It's not even like really put out there, and most schools don't even offer it. So, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, man. But
absolutely,
talking to school with me, man, that's dangerous. That's just a really dangerous topic, because I really feel like the school system right now is a poisonous system. It really is. But
yeah, no, it's true. So, how did you silence your dad? How did you help him, or how did you get past?
The best thing I did, man, was I went out and to kind of pull it full circle. We go out, and what we're doing in the CBD, right, is we wanted to invest in CBD, and instead we decided we get our hands dirty. So we went out there and we're like, we're going to just do an e-commerce store. We're going to get a relationship and invest in a manufacturer. So we did. Found the best CBD we could find. Ironically, it's in Dallas where we live. So, we have the factory and everything here, full FDA factory. We do tours in the factory, which is really cool. So you can come and see where it's made. We have 2 nurses on staff, full pharmacist on staff. So you can ask for recommendations while you're there. Go to the pharmacy and actually get your medicine that gets made on site. So, like I said, it's FDA approved facility. So it's really cool. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. So like, we'll do this CBD, and we were just going to do a store, and that we're just going to get our hands dirty. And, we had this special deal with the manufacturer. We started telling some of our friends, and they wanted to do it with us. So we wanted, so we're like, okay, well, let's make an offer and see if anybody was interested. We were just honestly trying to get 5 or 6 people that wanted to do it with us. And then we'd, we'd just have a little marketing group together, mindset marketing training group, and we'd help do it with them, and all of us can make a little bit of money. And what we thought was going to be 5, what we were hoping was going to be 5 people, turned into like over, I think we've gotten interest from over like 80 people on like 2 Facebook posts. And I think we've gotten, I know, over 30 people that are initially going to be founding members of it. And there's still like another 10 or 15 that we're talking to here before we start, which we're actually starting in a couple of days. And it's just really cool to see, because like, we're able to put an opportunity out there where you don't have to hold inventory, you don't have to do anything and all that. And we put all this stuff together, and my parents actually saw it. My parents actually saw us put this together out of thin air, out of a thought, and turn it into money, leverage it into money, leverage it into a resource. And like a week ago, my mom called me out of the blue and said, hey, so the CBD thing, we went in on it. And now my mom and my dad and my sisters are doing it with us. So, it's just kind of interesting, I saw this and I see it in my head, and just the mere fact that, I see it in my head, like not everybody else can see that. To me, it's normal. It doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody. It just means that I'm different, right? It doesn't mean difference being bad. It just means I'm different. I'm different. This might be, see these things connect in my head. And then now that we're putting this kind of machine together, other people are able to see it too. And this machine goes off and it helps the world. These people being involved in it and going to be able to get helped with it as well. And, what's the famous thing? Brian Tracy, was it Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar? Maybe it was Zig that said it. He said, you want to make $1 million, go help 1 million people, see what happens. Mm-hmm. And, that's so powerful. If you get your mindset into the fact of, hey, I want to go help people, the money comes. Money's a byproduct of that. It's just a resource. It comes along with it.
Totally agree with that. I think it's so interesting. In my book, I
do the world. You energy back.
Yeah, there's some feedback going on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think we got it. No, we're good. So in my book, 9 Pillars to Fuel Your Meaningful Legacy, that is one of the main, its first section is really dealing with how do you overcome the naysayers and how do you do it out of love. And most naysayers, in my experience, they just need an example of success. They need to see that it's possible, because the reason they're naysayers is because they don't want to get their hopes up. They don't want to get crushed themselves. So when you say, look, I'll go take the risk, I'll go put myself out there, I'm totally okay getting crushed if that happens. Then once they see that nobody got crushed, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And so,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of followers. Like, have you ever heard like the producers and consumers
mhm,
mythology?
yep.
So like, like there's entrepreneurs. There's a great book out there by a guy that I studied with about a year and a half ago. His name's Alex Sharfen. You can go to his website. I think it's www.sharfen.com, CHARFEN. He has a he has a book called EPT, which is all about the entrepreneurial personality type. That's kind of what his whole aura is about, right? He's a business coach and entrepreneurial coach, and he talks about how the entrepreneurial brain is just wired differently. We're the tribe. We're that 1% of the tribe that gets up early and goes and gets the food for the rest of the tribe. And they don't really understand us. They don't understand, but they could never live without us. And like, it's a really cool book because it really talks about how us as entrepreneurs, everybody listening to this, that, wants to get out on their own, wants to start their business, that has that entrepreneurial mindset of just getting things done. It helps you understand how that brain works and how kind of in the jungle, how we fit into this world. And like when you can understand that from a high level, man, it just really helps you understand how you fit in, how you're not alone, and how you can go and really collab with other people who are just like yourself and turn things into things. I mean, you got to think about it. Everything on this earth was built by somebody who was no smarter than you. Steve Jobs said that. So if everything on this earth was built by nobody who is, by somebody who is no smarter than you, then that means that you can build anything in this world. And don't get stuck into this idea that your business can't change the world. I would love for someone to tell, Steve Jobs that, or tell Jeff Bezos that, or tell, what's his name over at Tesla that, I mean, like a business has the opportunity to change the world. So stop thinking so small, because you could change the world with your idea and your thought alone.
Yeah, no, I love that. So how can we, if we wanted to get in touch with you about any of your coaching, your group coaching, CBD, whatever it is that,
Sure.
whatever you're doing, how would we get in touch? How can we support you and help you accomplish more and kind of buy into your vision a little bit more?
Yeah, man. So, I have some books that they can go get. Your audience can go get. They can just go over to www.betterleadsbox.com. And then I give away like 5 books over there. So they can go check that out if they want to do that. I'm going to give you a link, a playlist link that people that can check out, us over there. And it's going to be a free kind of like week boot camp on social media for marketing. If they're interested in the CBD, the best thing they can do, is they can go to our website, which is www.holisticfreedom.shop. And there's going to be a tab there in the navigation that's going to be wholesale opportunity, or it's going to be, business opportunity. They can click on that link. There's just going to be a type form that they can fill out. That's just basically them acknowledging that they're not acquiring about an MLM opportunity or anything like that. This is a wholesale opportunity. And we just have them fill out that form. We get notified, and then myself or Tiffany will reach out to them.
Okay.
And we'll have a chat with them on the CBD side. And then they can just click on the link if they want on the playlist and watch the boot camp. And I'll send them the 5 books if they go to betterleadsbox.com. I'll send them those books.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll have, we're going to have all those links in the show notes here. So if you're curious, how can you get more contact with Sidney or his wife, his significant other, Tiffany, then go do that on social media as well. Facebook, Instagram, whatever's going to work best, but go look them up. Again, it's Sidney Clevinger. So I'm going to spell that out for you, just for those people who can want to Google it, or I say Google it, but it's not.
Google it or
search
Facebook
it in any way,
whatever you want to do it.
Yeah. It's
go to Google it.
So it's Sidney's Sidney, and then his last name is Clevinger, Clevinger. But obviously, if you're listening to this and you have his name in the title of the podcast as well, so definitely go check that out. So for my favorite parts of the whole episode, this is the last 2 questions. Well, last 2 sections, we'll call them. So this is called Legacy on Rapid Fire. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions looking for a 1-word to 1-sentence answer. Now, the first question I ask you, you have to define. You have to go a little bit deeper than just the answer that everybody uses the same answer. And about, a few months ago, I decided, okay, we need to be more specific. So I want you to clarify the answer here, but here it goes. Legacy on Rapid Fire. what do you believe is holding you back from reaching the next level of your legacy today?
My ego. And because a lot of times I allow my ego to get in the way of my vision or my mission, which distracts me and distracts me on being able to delegate and properly take care of my staff as well as my customers.
Awesome. What do you believe the hardest thing you've ever accomplished has been today?
Being able to use resourcefulness when I not only didn't have money, but was negative in my account, to be able to go out there and use other resources that weren't necessarily money to further my cause.
Awesome. What's your greatest success to this point in your life?
Being able to help over 3 years, being able to help over 530 people with marketing, with being able to help them with marketing and changing their life over something that I was gifted to do.
Awesome. And what is one secret that you believe contributes most to your success?
Not self-discipline. Just being able to take a step forward every day, being conscious and conscientious of getting 1% better every day. Because when you continually take one step forward every day, I don't know what it is, but every 3 or 4 days or 4 or 5 days, a door shows up or a door opens that you didn't even know was there sometimes and becomes an opportunity. So, I just make sure to be steadfast, head down, eyes forward, eyes on my mission. And as long as you do that every single day and you get 1% better every single day, good things happen.
Awesome. And then what are 1 to 2 books that you would recommend to the Fuel Your Legacy audience that either have guided you on your path or have helped you get to where you're at?
Probably the best book I've ever read is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I know that's a big one, but I have a book that was written in the 1936 to still be relevant, 90 years later. And I mean relevant. I mean, you could read it and never even heard of it before, and you could use every tactic in there and it would benefit you today. Is astonishing. That is just amazing to me. I've read it 7 times. So I would say that book. Another book that, to be honest with you, and it's not because she's my wife, but, Stop Being a Selfish Bitch by my wife. She wrote it, and, I was with her while she was writing it. I was in bed with her and stuff like that. And we would have pillow talk. And the reason it's been so influential is mainly because of, it shows that, at the time, I didn't believe that my aura or my core influence would be able to impact someone, especially like her. I really, consider to be someone that I look up to, in a sense, right? And to show that I was able to impact her on such a deep level really was impactful for me, but also shows that you can use any resource or any gift that you have. It doesn't have to be something that you think it has to be. It can be simply being a good note taker. It can be doing hair. It can be baking. It can be simply, like she talks about in the book, just the mere fact that I trust her and I believe in her every single day and that I support her 100%. That means the world to her. Although to me it's a normal thing, but to her it means the world. And you can really impact and influence someone just by simple things like that. So reading that book has really just made me consciously think about how you can really impact people in a daily life, and I think people would really benefit from it.
Awesome. Love it. So this is my absolute favorite part of the episode now. The last question, and it's my favorite because I get to pretend that you're dead. So, it's always good, right? No, but it really condenses down what this whole episode's about and really the purpose of legacy. And this may be even more pertinent to you because you know your highest calling. But the idea is, if we were to sit around a table 6 generations from now, so we're talking your great, 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 great grandchildren are sitting around a table chatting about your life, Sidney. They're talking about what you achieved and what you became and why you're still relevant, right? Just like you said, Dale Carnegie's book's still relevant. Why are you still relevant? What do you want your legacy to be 6 generations from now?
Well, I mean, my kind of tagline is, I live in abundance, right? It's like Tiffany and I are all about abundance, not scarcity. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm not saying they are, but I'm not saying they do it consciously. I think they just do it because in the entrepreneur, you're surviving. You eat or you don't. And, I think that, my whole mantra is we all win when we all win. And, if you really take a step back and look at that, if everybody is winning around you, guess what? You're probably winning too. And, the reason that is because you live a life of abundance, not a life of, oh my gosh, I got to get this or I might not eat, so I got to take from someone else. It's, you live a life of figuring out how everybody can win around you because, I talk about this all the time. Like, if you're able to forge something, if you're able to put 2 people, 3 people together into something and you're able to all go for the common good or all go for the common cause, the common mission, it's going to be so much better than not. So like, with that comes collaborating and, just figuring out how you can work together, not just for someone, like a lot of times if you can figure out a way to work together, that will lead into working with someone, so like, it's never always about you making the sale. It's about you helping someone. And that could honestly be you sending them somewhere else. And I've done that many times, if it's not a good fit for me, it's not a good fit for me. So that would be my best thing, man. Like just understanding that we all win when we all win, and to have like my great grandchildren still singing that phrase, when they're walking around, and understanding that they're around, as long as they stay around people who are winning, they're going to be winning.
Awesome.
And they continually help those people win. So.
Yeah, I love that. Love it. This has been awesome. I'm so grateful that we were able to chat, and hopefully we're all able to stay in contact in the future and work together. Some different things we'll talk about as soon as we end this episode. But I'm just so grateful for you taking the time to be on this podcast and to share your mission, your vision, and your story. I know it's not always easy for people to get that vulnerable, and I'd encourage you to be okay with your story and be willing to get that vulnerable with people. Not you specifically, but you can be a guide and a leader so that other people can feel that comfort in being vulnerable about some of their darkest times. Because
I think, one of my mentors that me and Tiffany work with, his name's Marshall Silver. He's up there with like the Grant Cardones of the world. He's up there like, worth about $500 million or whatever. And, we signed up with him about a little over a year ago. And it's kind of like a lifetime life coach, right? And, into his network. And, one of the things that, he really preaches is, everybody needs to write a book. Why? Because everybody has a story. And I think it's so common that everybody thinks they think the same things that everybody else does. And, they don't have a story to tell because they're insignificant. No. If you remember, one of the most read books of all time is the cookbook by Julia Childs. That movie? And, she was living in France and she didn't even speak French that well. Couldn't even cook to save her life. But the thing is that she was that person, that entity that a lot of women were like, and she just talked about her experience and then was able to take what was a very difficult thing at the time and turn it in. Basically all she did was make it easy to understand how to cook French style cooking. Put it into layman's term it's kind of like a book for dummies, and, when you think about that, man, it all goes back to, it doesn't matter how you contribute as long as you contribute. And, I think that's just something that people really need to know, is that no matter how you contribute, you're contributing, and contributing to the tribe. It's helping the tribe further its cause. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, no, completely agree. So thank you so much. And we'll catch you guys next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us. If what you heard today resonates with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me. And if you do give me a shout out, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Thanks to all of those who've left a review. It helps spread the message of what it takes to build a legacy that lasts. And we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy.